What's up, cool people? I'm Matt Conroy, and so I had something happen recently. It got my brain on a tangent, all about like kind of sales tactics and advertising, for lack of a better way to put it. So the thing that happened was I the shortest version of the whole story that I can give you is I got word that, my monthly premiums for my health insurance were going to go up next year, possibly by a significant amount, although they wouldn't say how much. So I tried to look into it. Ultimately, like, it seemed like it was going to maybe go up like $20 and something per month. But then I wound up talking to a person, and, basically I wanted to look at some other options just to see what was out there. And the first place I looked at was unrelated to the insurance I already had. And oh my gosh, the second I even went on their website and put in my contact information, because, they need certain information from you so they can get an estimate on the monthly premiums and how much of a discount you can get and that kind of thing. Like, right after I put in all my contact information, I wasn't even at the point of being able to look at the plans yet. I had somebody calling me up on the phone, basically trying to convince me to enroll in some plan through their service right then. And that's sales tactic. That's sales tactic number one that I completely do not understand, is pushy salespeople. Nobody likes pushy salespeople. And now I'm not exactly I'm certainly not an aggressive person, sometimes not even as assertive in certain situations as maybe I should be. But, like, I knew going into this, I just wanted information on the costs and the premiums and, the benefits of the plan and all that kind of stuff. I did not want to enroll, but the person I kept talking to on the phone was pushing over and over and over again for enrollment. And I'm like, no. You ask, literally, the tactic they eventually got to was asking me, so if I can find you the perfect plan, would you want to enroll? And honestly, no, I did not want to right then. Like, if the plan was literally perfect, like, there is no way I could find any argument with it. I mean, maybe, but I pretty much had to say no at that point because I was tired of them being so pushy. And just, yeah. I will admit, it might have been a similar tactic that somewhat got me to buy the car that I now own and have had for like the past 6 years. But the thing is, I had already done some research on different car options without any pushy salespeople trying to, get me to move all the way to step 4 or 5 in my process when I was only on step 1. In this case, with the health insurance stuff, I was on step 1, just trying to gather information, and they were already trying to move me all the way to the end of the process. No. I am lenient, and I am passive up to a certain point, but if you really, really start pushing something that hard, it actually has me going the opposite way. It will cause me to get super stubborn and not want to give up any ground. So, yeah, pushy salespeople. In the case of my car, it might have kind of sort of worked, but like I said, I had already done the research. I had already been to another dealership, actually a couple of different dealerships. Maybe I could have spent a little longer considering the different car options, but I was fairly certain, like, I was down to 3 maybe different possible cars I would have even wanted, like 3 or 4 different dealerships. And ultimately, it was like, you know, I think at that point I might have even been settled on the kind of car I wanted. And it was just 2 different dealerships that I could have kind of, given them the runaround and let them compete for the best offer back and forth a bit more. But in all honesty, it's like, okay, I've already talked to the one, and this other one is willing to give me all the same stuff as the first dealership with possibly even a slightly better deal. And, I had everything there with me. It was like, it wasn't moving me that far along in the process compared to what I was looking to do. So that was the only reason that really worked in that instance. But if you're getting pushy salespeople right when you're just starting off the process and all you want to do is gather some information, for me, that completely will not work. So anyway, after that whole just debacle incident, whatever you want to call it, so I started looking into other options. Eventually, so I wound up looking on, the healthcare.gov online marketplace thingamajig and seeing what they could do. And the troubling part with that wound up being an entirely different issue. Long story short, I wound up paying way more than I thought I would have to, but at least I was able to keep the same plan and benefits and doctor and all that kind of stuff. But this other place, they were kind of a third party that had connections with all these other health insurance companies who just kept calling me over and over again. It was literally at least once, if not 2 or 3 times a day for the following week. And it's just, I had enough of it by like day 3. I got somebody calling me on day 4 in the morning at like, it wasn't an unreasonable time. It was like 10 in the morning or something. But still, I got this person calling me in the morning trying to, get me on their health insurance stuff. And I thought they were from the same company as, the third party group. And I was just like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of these calls. I legit said, although I probably wouldn't have done it, but I mentioned, possibly filing for harassment or something because I thought it was the same company every time. And that is legitimately ridiculous. Like, if it had been the same company all those times, call me like 10 times over the next 3 or 4 days, that's insane. That is borderline harassment. But then through that conversation, I kind of got the inkling. Maybe it wasn't the same company. Maybe it was actually one of the other ones that they're just connected with rather than the third party. But anyway, yeah, so pushy salespeople. I don't like that tactic. I don't get it. I don't think it ever really works all that well. I don't think it really convinces people too much more beyond what they were already thinking, kind of like in the example of my car. It was like I was already kind of thinking that, so it might have worked somewhat in that case. But no, I don't think there are very few people, none that I know of personally, who would be willing to concede that much ground when they're just in the early phases of it. So really, I mean, it might get you a few more sales than you would get otherwise. But it also turns some people away if you hit them too early with the aggressive salespeople. So, on the whole, I'm not sure it's worth it. Anyway, now tangentially, what this got me thinking of in regards to other sales and advertising tactics that I just don't get is, I guess now I'm going to go more on the advertising side of things. Like, specifically when it comes to like smartphone app advertisements that I'll see when I'm, you know, playing whatever game on my phone or watching a YouTube video on my phone, and this kind of stuff will pop up. But like, so a few quick hits from those that I really don't get. Number one, trying to convince you to re-download a game that you had before and then deleted. It's like, do you really think I was so... I mean, I get that maybe some people clear apps off their phone to just save space or whatever, but no, that ain't me. But like, if they deleted the app to clear space, I don't, like, they must not have thought it was that high on their priority list. So I highly doubt, unless they've gotten a new phone in the meantime, that would really work. Because I don't think they're suddenly going to find it so much more interesting that they're going to be convinced to re-download it again on the same device. So yeah, trying to sell you apps that you've already deleted. I don't really get it. Also, another one that gets me is, especially for game, game apps on smartphones and other mobile devices, when the advertisement is absolutely nothing like the actual game. It's like they're trying to push the boundary as much as possible with false advertising. It's like, okay, you show me characters doing this thing and get me thinking that's how the game works, and then I go and try and play the game, and it's nothing like that. I mean, if the game's actually any good, you might still get people hooked. So that one, I guess I understand a little bit, but at the same time, it's like, okay, but if somebody comes in really expecting this to be how the game is played, and it's not, then they might just get fed up with it for that reason alone, and, promptly delete the app and never come back to it again. Like, why are you trying to sell me a game that's basically not even your game? In fact, I might just try and find another game that actually does play like that. So now you've convinced me to get somebody else's product, or a product, maybe a different product made by the same company. Who knows? There are actually certain companies that are the overall like publishers or developers of a lot of different phone games and apps, and they just don't really want you to know that they are. Kind of like how General Mills owns a ton of food-related products, but they make you seem like it's just cereal for the most part. But anyway, one more kind of quick hit, especially with regards to phone apps, advertising tactic that I don't understand is like, or maybe I shouldn't say I don't understand it. Maybe I do a little bit, but in any case, the ads that will try and basically convince you to buy a game by showing you somebody playing it terribly. Like, do they really, really think that you're so desperate to show some unknown person up that you're going to download a game and, basically prove how easy it is just to show this idiot in the phone ad, who's probably not even a real person, how easy the game is and how it's really done. Like, I mean, I guess that might work for some people from a psychological standpoint, but if that's really the reason that if that's really the reason somebody ends up downloading the game or whatever, then it probably won't be too long before either they realize the game as a whole is way too easy and they're either done with it or bored with it and they delete it, or they find out the game is actually really, really hard as it gets further along, and it's like, oh, I thought this game was easy. Now I'm frustrated with this. And they might keep it, they might not, but they certainly won't be playing it as much if that's the case. So, I mean, I guess from the phone app standpoint, sometimes these different advertising methods are used just to pad the download numbers, because in a way that can become its own selling point. Sometimes it's like, oh, this game has like 10 million downloads. That's a lot of people who've played this game. You should play it too, because all these people have. So I guess I shouldn't say I don't understand from a business standpoint these advertising methods, but at the same time it's like, okay, really? They're like bottom of the barrel, absolute cheapest advertising methods you could possibly come up with. I really feel like if you cared that much and your app, game, thing, whatever, was actually that good on its own, you wouldn't need to stoop so low to use these tactics. But anyway, that's just my thought process on all that. I'm sure there are other things that I could mention in terms of, shady sales or advertising tactics, but that's all I really have time for now. If you have others in mind, of course, let me know down in the comments. Maybe if I get enough, I could talk about some of those too. Otherwise, of course, you can also talk about other ideas that you might have for me, things you want me to talk about, or video games you might want to see me play through. Whatever you have for me, let me know down below. And of course, as always, make sure you like this video and share it if you enjoyed. And of course, subscribe to my channel, click the bell to get updates if you want to know when I'm posting new stuff. You can also look down in the description for info on my other social media pages and how to find and follow those. A fair number of those are good for keeping up with my, YouTube activity and when I post videos and things like that. Some of them not so much, but still, feel free to follow me anyway. But yeah, that's all I got for now. So I hope you're all doing well. Hopefully I'll see you for the next video. But until then, stay cool, people.